Nam just rang me last night and could I say a few words, and it was like, what could you say about Ron? I think everybody here would have a story about Ron, so I can only share a little of mine. But like many people here, I first knew Ron because we shared the same good fortune in our lives to have somehow come across Maraji or Prem Rawat and been so inspired by such a wonderful teacher. And I know that Maraji, it's for many of us, or for Ron, that Maraji had a huge impact on our lives. And it's very curious, entertaining listening to Colin, because I know my family suffered many of the same experiences. In fact, I also said to a partner that I'm sorry, I'm about to move into the ashram, and left them behind. And my parents for many years wanted to know what I was doing, but my father was generous enough to say that as long as she's happy, it's fine. And they were very relieved to see me also sort of reappear to some extent in the mid-80s. So, and discover they still had a daughter they thought had gone missing for some time. Anyway, he was Ron's life, I think for many of us, started to come about in the 70s, and Keith was reminding me about Adelaide the other day, and Cynthia had sent a note also about Ron and Adelaide and being, most of us in the sort of 70s, late 70s were either had sort of still wearing a few hippie clothes or were very much alternate or very much this or that, and Ron was the pinstripe suit and the property developer, and most of us in our early 20s, and Ron was sort of mid-30s, and at that stage, 10 or 12 years was a huge age gap. So it was an interesting time, and for me, I first met Ron in New Zealand. I was still am a Kiwi, and he would come and visit, and then I was in Wellington at the time, and they were about to launch this big project in Brisbane in the phone rings. I was in the ashram in Wellington, and he said, could you come over? I need your help. And I went, okay, I'll go in for a couple of weeks, packed up a suitcase, came over and never got to go back. And one project led to another, and they were always remarkable projects and totally entertaining. And I think many of us went on to share houses with Ron, and sharing a house with Ron was never dull, always entertaining. And, you were dragged out, and there was always an exercise program or this or that. Or Ron was off to aerobics with all the girls, and it was just never dull. And he was just this incredible ball of energy, and he was so positive, it would drive you nuts half the time. How could anyone have so much energy and drive and enthusiasm and positiveness when you're allowed a few days off? And, we could all, I'm sure, fill out a book with stories of working with Ron on all sorts of projects, from fundraising to construction to building houses. I mean, some of us may remember the Seascape days, where people were brought from all over Australia, and we were finding houses to put them all in so that they could work in this construction company that Ron had invented. Building projects that I'm not sure if Ron knew how to build at the time, but he would have a go. So it was always he would have a go. And so I learnt to gyp rock, which I had never done before. And like everyone else, you would take on things that you had never done and learn. And, I think most projects worked out all right. I think some projects may still be waiting to be finished. But anyway, there were some great bridges that got built, and I think I saw a note from Cynthia about how Ron's way of getting everybody to come and help with the bridges was to serve bacon and eggs first for breakfast, so that you would get people to come along. He had an energy and enthusiasm that was totally exhausting for us mere mortals. And it's almost like he made up for being so small by being supercharged, and I sort of related to that a little bit, being a bit on the small side myself, and we had this little bit of, I sort of worn out, I got worn out a while ago and my energy ran out, but Ron seemed to keep going. And I don't know, he had a huge sparkle and a generosity of spirit and an ability to encourage and inspire others to go beyond what we thought we could do. And he was so keen to help people. He would just go in there and help you, whatever you needed, and he'd be there. And he would take things on with such a can-do, jolly attitude, bringing everyone along with him. and sometimes leaving the rule book behind or bending the rules, but for Ron, he would take the risks and go with it, and he used to be quite proud of the fact that, as he said, he grew up on the wrong side of the railway tracks or something. It was one of his little sayings about, he'd had a bit of a tough beginning in life, and he sort of seemed to really want to go for everything. And he had a great love and a passion for Marathi and his message of peace, and he really wanted to help Marathi achieve his vision, and over many years Ron contributed so much towards that and towards inspiring others to do that as well. And, in more recent years, because Terry and I are on the neighbouring mountain, the unknown Beachpont mountain that no one yet has discovered, unlike Tambourine, so every now and again we would come over here for a cup of coffee. They don't make much coffee on that mountain. So that's for the locals' joke. So we would, join Ron and Annie for the opening of Crystal Inspirations, which Terry was happy enough to do the astrological chart for. And she had Ron's birthday celebrations, and our neighbours, we would end up, discovering Ron in a coffee shop in the village there. We wonder where the moustache had come from. And perhaps wonder whether Ron was even getting more eccentric in his older years. And hearing, what he was up to, and, watching his whole journey, and just, being amazed at how individual we each are in our journeys. And so in a funny way, it doesn't feel like a time to be sad. It feels like Ron packed as much as he possibly could into his life, and that supercharged little battery of his finally gave up and said enough is enough. And, what a place to pass on. So I thought I would just finish with a few words from Marathi in honour of Ron. Your life should be about experiencing what is good, what is beautiful, because this is what exists inside of you. Yes, you are dirt, ordinary dirt, until the rain of breath falls onto it. When the rain of breath falls on this dirt, it indeed is not dirt, it is a garden. And when the rain of life, of breath, stops falling on this dirt, it will become a desert again. And right now in this garden, it's raining, not quite fortunately. It's raining, and it's raining like you wouldn't believe. It began raining a long time ago, and it has not stopped raining. I suggest you take some seeds and sow them. This is the time, sow them. Sow them while it is still raining, and watch them bloom into flowers of the heart, flowers of clarity. All of us have these gardens, and it's raining and raining and raining, the sweetest rain. One day it will not rain anymore. But until then, plant these seeds of understanding, of clarity. Here, while you are alive, you can plant those seeds. The gratitude for this life can be experienced here and now. I think Ron planted a lot of seeds in his life, and he enjoyed the rain. Thank you.